Alright guys, we are back for another Dokkan battle video. Today we're going to look at Big Daddy, STR Cooler. Seems crazy, a little bit under 3 years since he's come out, is now getting his EZA. Again, it is pretty crazy because we still have a Dokkan Fest who's about to hit 5 years old in Physical Super Vegito. He's about a month away from being 5 years old without his EZA. So very clearly with STR Cooler getting his EZA now, right, they are going to, put a super hype character or a big time character in an EZA slot, in a celebration, way out of order if it'll make the celebration more hype, if it'll fit the theme, if it's a big deal, right? Now, STR Cooler on release is one of the strongest characters the game has ever released. This guy, like, his details the day he came out, it was stunning how uber powerful this guy is. He really was all that. And it does seem like they've sort of set the standard for EZA TRs with him yet again. I think that this guy, because of the fact that Wicked Bloodline and, movie bosses and transformation boosts and these types of category teams, because of how crazy they are, this guy is going to slot right in alongside LR Golden Frieza, LR Janemba, LR Final Form Cooler, LR Metal Cooler, all these monsters at the top of these category teams, and this cooler is going to fit on there perfectly. So they basically made two changes of note in base, right? He gets, of course, the extra stats, but one of the biggest things is he now stacks defense on his super attack effect is perfect. In base, Cooler is a support type unit. Defensive stacking is kind of it's a lazy way to make like a character better, but it is very effective. I think it's the right choice for this guy, right? To give him that defensive stacking, and we could use him in multiple different ways. We could choose to just keep him as a defensive stacking support type unit to make the other better units better, or we could, of course, transform into his final form state where they now gave him an additional attack, right? And he's stacking attack, and he's just going to do insane amounts of damage transform. So he's just really set up to be really good. The only issue I have, this isn't really an issue with this cooler, but they made his support 50% for transformation boost and terrifying conquers, which is good. Unfortunately, though, that transformation boost support buff is against one enemy. That's the way it was originally in his kit. That doesn't hit LR Metal Cooler. So in many of the toughest fights in the game, unfortunately, we are not going to have that defensive support along with, for LR Metal Cooler, which is going to be unfortunate. So here we are, turn 1, 288k defense is what we're at right here. All right, so this is going to be a good turn. This is Cooler, turn 1, all 7 links activated. Let's see what he could do. Again, he defensive stacks, right? So we are just going to see him stacking his defense and getting better defensively as the fight goes on. They always do this where they will sort of build popular... Wow, 7.5, all right. But they always build very... Okay, keep in mind, Cooler is a support, right? Like, he's giving 2 key and 50% attack and defense to all these units. And then he's dropping a 7 million attack stat with the support, and he's stacking defense. Like, I really like Future Gohan. I think EZA Future Gohan is really quite good. But, like, I don't, like, this cooler is just crazy. Okay, so here's the transformed cooler, right? We could just take a look at him. If we would get no defensive stacks in for him prior to this point, he's still at 300k defense. So he's definitely stronger, but, I mean, this is good. You can see how in these really tough fights, you're going to want to transform, or you're going to want to stack a couple of times with him. If you're fighting Red Zone Broly, Red Zone Omega, these big Red Zone fights, you are going to want to sort of go out of your way to make sure Cooler's getting his stacks in, right? Because that 300k is not going to cut it. Now, this Cooler does not increase defense with the super attack effect. I don't think it's an issue for this character, though, because he's already stacking defense in base, right? Because of the fact that he's stacking defense in base, it's like you can transform when you're ready, when you're confident with his defense, right? So I think it's fine. I know I say all the time they can't release characters right now who don't increase defense on super attack, but he stacks in base before then, right? So I don't think it's... I see no issue with it. Again, I don't really have an issue with anything in his kit, just besides the fact that I wish his Terrifying Conqueror buff was against one enemy, and his transformation boost buff was against 2 enemies. That's the only thing. But the way they designed this guy he's probably going to be relevant for quite a while. We know how good defensive stacking is. Again, I started to allude to it earlier, but in these games, right, in Dokkan, they usually design and create characters around the current strongest content in the game, right? So when, you know, Super Battle Road is the toughest stuff, we're getting a lot of characters that could dodge and debuff and potentially do stuff like that, right? You know, we saw this when they started to introduce the legendary Goku event into the game. And then all of a sudden we get Tech Dragon Ball Super Trunks, we got LR Kale and Caulifla, right? We got Namek Goku, these types of characters that could stack. Cooler's kit is designed pretty well to help him, you know, again, on these big, you know, movie bosses, Transformation Boost, Wicked Bloodline, you know, Terrifying Conquerors. Cooler will help really well with his kit in these difficult red zone stages. So here he is. This is one super attack in. Okay. Yeah, let's just continue going with this Cooler. I'm curious to see how high we can get his defense. That's my main concern, right? Offensively, when you transform with this guy, he's getting 200% attack and defense at the start of turn with some of the highest stats in the game. He's competing with summonable LRs with how high his stats are, right? He now launches 2 guaranteed additionals, each of which has a 30% chance to be a super attack. So, you know, you could transform into Final Form Cooler. He can do 4 super attacks, right, with the ridiculous amount of damage that he's potential of hitting. So, he's looking really good. Don't forget, too, that Cooler does do guaranteed crits against pure and hybrid Saiyans. Right now, it's not the biggest deal. Certainly, right, Red Zone Broly, I'd say, is the second hardest fight in the game at the moment, right? But let's be real. Dude, they're going to be dropping Red Zone stages against Goku and Vegeta and Beast Gohan and shit. That's going to happen, right? So these buffs right now for Cooler, these guaranteed crits against pure and hybrid Saiyans, it's not the craziest right now, but I'm sure, again, we'll start getting Red Zone content geared around super class Saiyan characters sooner rather than later, probably. We will see, right? Okay, so we have, let's just keep Cooler in slot 1 right here. Let's just let him cook, right? Let's just see what he's able to get up to. As he's able to super attack a lot more. Remember, again, he is going to be stacking, right? Every single super attack he does transform these stacking attack. Every super attack he does in base, he's stacking defense. So we are potentially going to see this guy really be able to build up his defense and attack a lot as we're going through, right? So right here, again, we could shoot out 4 super attacks. He could do 4 right here. So, like, it's just going to be decimation whenever you're going up against any type of Saiyan character or anything like that. The only thing I could see potentially being a bit of an issue now with Wicked Bloodline, so it's like you have Golden Frieza who wants to do 5 attacks and be hit 5 times. Metal Cooler has to be hit, 4 times? This Cooler has to attack 10 times. Now, you know, base Cooler, we're going to want defensive stacking as well. So it's just, we have a lot of characters on Wicked Bloodline. It's like, I could see, like, fighting over which characters are going to get the super attacks. Because the thing is, right, is that it's like, these characters are all building up, but it's not like they're building up in some small, meager way, right? Like, we're seeing Cooler dropping 7.5 million attack stats every turn, right? Like, it's, you know, kind of a big deal there. So here we are at 530,000. This is with all 7 links activated. So, it's like, we could easily be in one of these tough fights, you know, Broly or Omega or something like that, towards the end. I just think of him as a support, man, right? Like, he's giving 50%, right, to the rotation, and he's just stacking. Like, I really like it. I think that this Cooler is exceptional. I think they really nailed it with him. This is exactly what he needed to be a top-tier character. I mean, they always could have given him more and stuff like that, but I like it. I guess one other aspect of him we didn't talk about, he does lower attack, which could be good for Battlefield and Super Battle Road, of course. But he does have a guaranteed additional in base that has a medium chance of being a super if the target enemy is in attack down or defensive down status. That, I would say, for the most part, is not the biggest deal, but it certainly could be pretty good in Super Battle Road runs, right? But, like, you know, in the really big content that matters, you're, I feel like, not really going to be able to take advantage of that too much, right? That guaranteed additional that he does have, that's more so going to be an ability we would see in kind of like a little bit of the lesser content, right? Again, like these Super Battle World stages and stuff like that. And I say lesser content because it's like Super Battle World, you could use 8 items, right? These Red Zone stages, you have 2 items. It makes, I think, a significant difference in comparing the content. Okay, I think Cooler he's been repeatedly defensive debuffed, right? All right, let's see what damage we get right here. So this is no support. He has gotten a number of super attacks up to this point. We just got the full STR final form Cooler rotation right here. So this blue Vegeta probably is going to die right here. But yeah, I like what we're seeing. I think right now, if I had to rank the EZA TURs, I feel like I'm definitely putting Cooler 1 pretty easily. Cooler, the way he's designed, I feel like he's competing more with 200% leaders rather than the EZA TURs, right? For the most part, I feel like 200% leaders are comfortably better than the EZA TURs. I think Cooler, though, future Gohan, depending upon the situation, I felt like could compete a little bit. But this Cooler, I feel like, is really, to me, in the mix with these 200% leaders, and potentially better than a lot of them. I've seen some discussion on if this Cooler's the best TUR overall. I think it's a little early for me to say that, but I feel like I could see it, right? So, is this Cooler competing with Ginyu? You could make a case at the very least, right? I think that this Cooler does sort of deserve to be up in that discussion. I feel like Ginyu probably has just a bit too much utility, but like I haven't even really talked about it, but considering how strong Cooler is, I think his leader, dude, his leader skill is actually pretty impressive too. So we take a look at Cooler's leader skill, so we're 673,000 right here. Cooler's leader skill, Terrifying Conquerors or Transformation Boost. 3 key, 170%. That's a legitimate team. You could pretty easily no item, I think, every single Red Zone stage effortlessly with this team. And double Cooler leading it, right? Like, it would be very easy. It would probably be easier no iteming the entire Red Zone with that than, like, I don't know, a Pan's team or something like that. I mean, if we're talking about the highest options, Pan is pretty crazy, but you guys get what I'm saying. Like, Cooler's team is ridiculous. Okay. So, on this turn, we're 721,000. That's pretty good. Let's go ahead and transform. 721,000. Let's transform. Oh, I should have played the animation. That's fine. We jumped up to 766,000. This is a pretty big rotation. I'm just curious. I'm just going to pop this. Let me see what Cooler's damage looks like. So this is us just stacking defense with him in base the entire run. Then we get to here, and he's rocking, 700k defense. Let's go and see what he is able to put out right here. Let's see what our boy Final Form Cooler does do. Okay. And Cooler gives us 7.19. Remember that the attack stacks right here are really going to be big once he's transformed for a while. And then don't forget, he has potentially 4 of these in. And if we're fighting a pure Hybrid Saiyan, he's doing guaranteed crits as well. So it's like this guy is going to be right up there potentially. Like imagine a rotation where LR Final Form Cooler is doing like 4 or 5 super attacks. And then you potentially have like this guy, right? Also then shooting out like 4 super attacks. Things can get out of hand in a hurry. So let me know what you guys think about this STR EZA Cooler. He does definitely feel like the strongest EZA TUR to me, I would say by far. A 50% support unit that's stacking defense is really strong. They gave this guy what he needed to be great. So let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.